wish I had the ability to see everyone's faces when they saw that I was going to be posting up a wrestling game. I wish there was some kind of way to capture the puzzled and what the fuck moment look many of you just had. Shit, even the YouTube owner probably stopped fucking himself just to see what the fuck the story is behind this game. Now, as I mentioned, this is the final time during the Goodbye PlayStation 3 series in which weeks we'll have games together that make absolutely no sense. You know, I had Final Fantasy and Little Big Planet together, and the logic there was fantasy and cute games that are more related than any other game. I had BioShock, Resident Evil, Crysis, so shooting games with splicers, aliens, and zombies. Not that those are all related, but you know what? Crysis is more in common with BioShock than it does with Little Planet, so obviously I needed to put those games all together and shit. But Marvel superheroes and wrestling? Not to mention tomorrow's video, which I have still yet to post, so this is sort of a jumbled week of videos with really nothing in common. The only thing they will have in common is people punching and kicking each other. That's about it. Sometimes they wear a mask like Mexican wrestlers or whatever the fuck, but for the most part, they were all put together this week because I don't have anywhere else to put this shit. Now, as for the game itself, I never bought the game. It was a free game given to me at Christmas by my buddy Going Postal all those years ago. As you can see in the title, this is an old fucking game. So it is old and outdated, and I'm sure the inevitable question from people will be, do you like and watch wrestling? And the answer is pretty simple. Nowadays, no I don't. You know, I probably haven't watched wrestling in at least 10 years or whatever the fuck it is. But I used to watch it as a kid, and during the height of its popularity a few years ago. You know, I grew up watching the Hulk Hogan's, the Ultimate Warriors, and pretty much all the other guys who died before the age of 50. Hey, look, I'm not being mean, but that's just the reality of being a wrestler. All those steroids are gonna catch up to a motherfucker, and these people die young. But anyways, I used to watch all the pay-per-view specials and shit as a kid. I used to watch all the weekly shows. But like anyone will tell you, it got really cheesy. I mean, right about the time Hulk Hogan had his first retirement or something like that, wrestling was throwing all kinds of gimmicks out there. It was relatively annoying, and they all but stopped trying to make it entertaining. Now, eventually, I came back to watch when the whole WCW, NWO storyline started with DX and The Rock and Stone Cold. Back then, that was the height of wrestling, and me and Going Postal were into it at the time. I'm not gonna lie, it was entertaining. It's our version of a male soap opera. Because really, if I were to tell you, I watch a show where grown-ass bodybuilding men grab each other and throw each other around while wearing only underwear and cowboy boots, you would think I'm watching something worthy of being at the Blue Oyster or something. No, but wrestling was popular and entertaining in those days, so I watched. Now, over time, it got boring again. WCW became really fucking horrible. I mean, they kept trying those NWO plot lines over and over and over again. They kept buying out old wrestlers just to put them on TV. They kept switching people between good and bad all the time. Oh god, it was horrible and it was boring. They also had all their financial issues and then eventually went bankrupt. They were bought out by WWE. Right around that time, I lost interest again, and I've never come back to actually watch wrestling. But Going Postal has sort of kept watching. Not really. Every now and then he'll turn it on. He knows sort of what's going on and shit like that. But over time, he's lost his interest in it as well as I have. But the year this game came out, he decided to get it for me for Christmas, mainly because he didn't know what games I had in my library, but he knew I wouldn't have this one. So I got it, and here it is in the Goodbye PlayStation 3 series. Another game that I did not purchase with my own money. Now, as for the game itself, it's fun to play. You know, albeit the controls and the motion, they're a bit robotic. But hey, the game is 7 fucking years old, man. You know, it took me a while to remember the controls and whatnot. And you guys will see this in the video. I used my finisher a number of times, but I couldn't pin Ric Flair because I kept doing it by the ropes, and I couldn't remember how to move a motherfucker back to the middle of the ring. So, the video lasted probably about 3 or 4 more minutes than it needed to, but you know what? Fuck it, I can't do anything about that shit, man. But overall, it has pretty much everything you would expect from a wrestling game. It has the number of superstars and a number of legends to use. It has the story mode where it throws you into an annual year of wrestling with all their plot twists and shit like that. It has a GM mode that allows you to take control of the 3 televised programs. ECW was in the game at the time, so you can control that. You can run a full season of WWE, signing people, booking matches and whatnot. It's got some elements of RPG, some sports GM modes invested into the plots and whatnot. Basically, it's fun to play. You know going into a wrestling game pretty much what you're going to get, and since it wasn't glitchy and ran smooth, you have to say this was a pretty good game for the time. I'm not complaining, I got it for free. I got a few weeks out of enjoyment out this motherfucker, and now I get to go back to it one last time during the Goodbye PlayStation 3 series. So what more could you ask for in this motherfucker? Now, for those of you who are going to say, oh, wrestling is fake, it's all acting, yeah, and that's part of the appeal. It's a male soap opera. It's nothing more, nothing less. the outcome of the matches are predetermined, and that's part of the acting and part of the long-term storylines that they have to build up to keep people entertained. But the action in the ring certainly isn't 100% fake. Yes, the moves are predetermined, they're practiced, they're worked on, but that's part of being an actor and a stuntman, which for the most part, these guys are stuntmen. They take real falls in the ring. Sure, the punches are fake, they don't actually hit somebody, and all the motions are fake and shit like that, and the acting is fucking horrible at times, but the falls aren't fake. The jumps aren't fake, and the biggest stunts need to be coordinated in practice. You know, when people falling like 30 feet off the ring and shit like that, jumping outside. Injuries are bound to happen to these guys, so regardless if the stories and results are determined ahead of time, the actual matches take a great deal of athleticism to do. It takes a great deal of talent, and it puts your body through all kinds of pain when you have to do this every single week after week after week, on the road no less. These guys travel non-stop. You know, you can't just be any schmuck that goes into the ring and be a wrestler. No. This shit takes training, mainly to prevent injuries to yourself, and obviously to fall properly, use the right techniques, and make sure you don't injure the people that you're having to work with. What they do is not easy, and it's not fake. Yes, the results are predetermined, but the action itself beats the living shit out of you. And it's a tough way to make a living, that's for sure. This thing beats the living shit out of you, and any wrestler will tell you it is a very rough lifestyle. I mean, it's part of the reason why so many wrestlers die young, between the steroids, the addictions, the painkillers needed to continue to perform, the persistent injuries. It is not an easy life. So, if you're hating on wrestling because the storylines are written out ahead of time, you should take a look at the processes that go into creating an entertaining match just to put on TV. It takes a lot of athleticism and a lot of good acting and stunt work to actually put on these shows. So as much as it's predetermined, you can't really say that this shit is 100% fake, because these motherfuckers have to be able to put on a show each and every night in this motherfucker. But anyways, this was my one and only wrestling game, so you won't see me playing any more wrestling on my channel ever again. Obviously, Hipfire Commentaries is another story. Hey, look, someone says I'm wrestling for Hipfire Commentaries. I can't do anything about that, man. So, as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit. One more video this week, and we're going to have that motherfucker up tomorrow.